Hi, Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Welcome to our diabetes prevention reversal talk today. This is a wonderful opportunity because I am totally convinced, and I've done it many times with patients, that type 2 diabetes can be prevented, stopped, and reversed within a month or two, the majority of the time. In this country, we've allowed people to develop heart disease, dementia, renal disease, thyroid disease, retinal disease, blindness, heart attacks, strokes, amputations, dislocations. I could go on, and those diseases could easily be prevented. For one thing that we are not doing that needs to be done, which has been scientifically proven, but I'll discuss it with you in detail. I have many books that is confirmed by the medical industry, the medical schools, the national organizations, our hospital system, public health really doesn't discuss it with you, because if you were to run serum insulin would stuff the sugar into the cell for energy, okay? If you were to run tests for that starting at a very young age, I'm talking about age 2 or 3. Why do I say that? Because it's fully discussed in this book here by Joseph Kraft, K-R-A-F-T. Fortunately, I ran across this book years ago. I've known this 15 years or so. I never speak to a diabetic doctor, a family doctor, or anybody that's ever read his book. Or you can catch him on YouTube. He's died since, in his high 90s, where he's speaking to Cummings, the biggest obesity doctor in the world. He's saying to Cummings, he said, I'll be long upstairs looking down upon you before the medical community, the country, the nation will change and run serum insulin tests so we can avoid all those diseases. It's that simple. On this cover of his book, Diabetes Epidemic in You, everyone should be tested. Everybody, starting age 2 or 3, I highly recommend it. He wrote this book 2006, but he ran the tests proving that 20, 30 years before that. He was a pathologist. He looked at the bottom line, the dead bodies. He saw the diseases, ran a bunch of tests, and write this book. A doctor could read it maybe in a night, and you could read it in 2 or 3 nights. Should everyone be tested? Absolutely not. Only those concerned about their future. Who isn't concerned about their future? Okay? I'm 86 years old. April will be 87. My family doctor ran tests on me lately, who I had taught this to myself years ago, and he paid no attention, because I noticed while I was talking to him, he took his iPhone and went like this, and I could see the little patch. That's a glucose meter, a lifestyle one, or real good thing to have if you're diabetic, because when you eat something an hour or two later, or when you're not feeling good, you can go like that, tells you your blood sugar level. A wonderful thing to have, but it doesn't speak well for him, does it? Because I taught him about this. I wanted to teach it to his patients. Yeah, I'd like to live to be 100, so I have my blood test with me, okay? And I have it here. If you want to see it, I'll get you a copy. My glucose, 89. I don't think triglycerides, 58. That's a big one. Cholesterol 169, but the cholesterol is not actually important. The low density LDL may be important because it can dig the holes in the intima and begin the atherosclerotic process. That's normal. My HbA1c, that's 3 months of glucose, 5.4. So I'm not pre-diabetic or diabetic. And the HSCRP, a C-reactive protein high sensitivity, 0.7. That was excellent. My GFR, which I think is very important. Most people don't get their glomerular filtration rate because diabetes is associated with it. Kidney disease, a lot. And people are running the other tests but never checking their GFR because kidney disease is 5 stages. Once it's stage 4 and 5, you need dialysis. Stage 5, you need a kidney transplant. In a few years, you may be dead. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying to you is get your GFR yearly, starting as a kid. Put it in the computer or in a book and keep track of it. That way, if it changes it, you can act on it and prevent things. That's my purpose. So this Kraft book is just a wonderful book. I try to go online and buy some more copies to give away to people, but it seems like I can't really get this book at this cheap price I had at that time. They had it in hardcover and it was $75, but the library would have it. But you look at this YouTube and you hear from me. You're hearing it from me. Get the insulin test. Children should have it. The drugs they gave you today worry me a bit because the insulin, made only by a few companies, is expensive. It pushes the sugar into the cell, and the cell goes like this. So if you're diabetic, you're going to be overweight because you're taking insulin. So then the sugar can either be used up or turned to glycogen, which can be stored in the liver and the muscles at a limited amount. And if that doesn't take place, it turns into fat. That's the reason diabetics are looking like that. But 20% of the people who are thin are still diabetic because they have fat in their liver and fat in their pancreas, and the pancreas doesn't secrete insulin. So then the blood sugar goes up and they say, oh, you're diabetic. What a doctor from Canada described is that you can be taking insulin for 20 or 30 years and switch to a proper way of eating, and the fat will leave the liver and the pancreas wakes up and you secrete insulin again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think that's interesting to know. So if you want to get rid of your diabetes, I mean, what do? You got to eat different food. I tell you, the quickest way is to do what's called fasting, not eating, your choice, okay? It goes back in religion thousands of years. But I'm not saying skip a month for Ramadan or skip 2 days, or I'm asking you to fast 16-8, 16 hours you don't eat, 8 hours you eat. Same every day. And that's simple. That's what I do. 133 pounds today, 86 years old, all normal blood tests. I take 0 pills. Played pickleball today and playing pickleball on Saturday. Take a walk in nature, 45 minutes almost every day. I think it's working. And my weight doesn't change much at all. I think I must be at a certain BMI level. And I'm not eating a perfect way of eating, but the time frame I am, I don't always eat good food. I might have a piece of pie here and there, or eat more meat than I should on occasion. And I'm still the same weight, and my blood tests don't change. I have no illnesses, no pills, and everything is working good. That's what I'm trying to teach you. If you eat about 50, 70% good fats, and if you read this book here, right, you have a chapter on that, good fats, bad fats. You want the omega-3 fats, 50, 70%, guacamole, peppers, and I list what the good and bad foods are, and about 20% protein, and vegetables and fruits, about 15%. Yeah, if you eat too many fruits and vegetables, which can make you healthier, yes, you can. And there are books on that, but not as good as the 16-8 keto way of doing it. When you're not eating sugar, blood sugar level goes down, insulin level goes down, fat cells open up, fat goes to the liver and turns into ketones. Ketones are small molecules smaller than glucose, and the brain loves them, the heart loves them, the kidney loves them, and you will more energy, you will think better, and you lose weight quickly. Why? Because you're using fat for energy, not sugar, fat. You're now into fat metabolism, keto metabolism. That's a great way to get better. There is, suppose you're way overweight. What I do now, if I'm 200 pounds overweight, what do I do? Boy, if I get the answer for you, okay? I'm not being critical. You didn't know this, I didn't know this. Who knows why that occurred, okay? And for one thing, they don't teach you in the schools how to eat right. I walk through the line. I know what they're teaching you. This book here, Simply Keto, remember I spoke about ketones, small molecules made from fat, okay? And in the liver, Susan Ryan. This really, for even if you're not overweight, just a little bit overweight, it's a great book to have, a great reference book. I'd suggest go online, buy that darn thing. Here it says $34, $35 in the U.S. Yeah, I mean, what a deal! You go to the library, they get it for you. Costs you nothing. But I said, yes, own it and put it in your kitchen and make up your mind. This is the only way I'm going to eat. And in a month, you won't have diabetes. All the costs involved. You're going to live an extra 20 years. You avoid all these disabilities. Don't be blinded. Don't accept diabetes. Don't walk in the doctor's office. Here's a script, see you in a year. Don't do that. Prevention is the cure. Doctors today are not trained even at the medical school level. I wanted to go into the medical school and teach their med students. I showed this book to them and other books. I wanted them to read them. Then I'd like to come in and give 1 or 2 lectures to your med students. Wouldn't allow me. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't allow me. And that's the reason I wrote this book. The med schools are part of the system that maintains the disease. They're not teaching their doctors how to prevent, cure, stop, reverse diabetes. That's criminal. I think it's not. It is criminal because people are dying, becoming demented, heart attacks, strokes. Yes, I think they need to step up to bat. The hospitals need to, but the med school, I think, is big because they're teaching us providers, okay? I just happen to get into it, read a lot, 2,000 books in my basement, so I know a lot. You don't agree with me? Come see me. I'll sit down, and we'll go to my library. You better be prepared. I soak up information, okay? I soak up information. But what I like are a book, first 30, 40 pages, She explains what keto is all about and discusses the foods. She mentions too, when you're eating, the amount of carbohydrates, the amount of proteins, the amount of fat, net carbs. She tells you exactly the recipe that you made. She then shows you a picture and that's what you're eating. So you know what it looks like. In the bottom, she'll say calories, fat, protein, total carbs, how much fiber, net carbs. The fiber will odds are will not be broken down and just pass out in your stool, so you don't need to count that as calories. Okay, and you'll be rid of disease probably 4 or 6 weeks if you have one of these DESCOM.6 or lifestyle monitors where you can measure your blood sugar and just go like this and it tells you what it is. I suggest that because your blood sugars will go down and you get rid of disease. You'll save all the money. You don't have to buy those drugs anymore. It's doable. I've done it to many patients and they walk up to me all the time. I had one again last night. I took 2 people to dinner to speak about health things, and he came up to me and said, you know, I had advanced lung disease. I'm looking great, feeling great, and I want to say thank you. It happens to me all day long. Mm-hmm. So we need to declare war on diabetes, and the industries that promote it, we need to speak to them so that they can be changed. But this would be a great book to read. This even has cauliflower pancakes in it, and Simply Keto, Susan Ryan. And I already showed you my book. Another person that wrote a great book, Goodbye Pills and Needles, by Tom Jelinek. I hold that up for you. A wonderful book to read. It really takes diabetes apart like I do. Why am I so strict about it? You might say brutal about it, because people are dying. They're going blind. They're losing their kidneys. 50% of people with heart disease grab their chest and they fall over dead. 30%. 40% don't need treatment. 10% they do stents and things like that. The majority, so that 50% that died could have been prevented. 95% of them were diabetics. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's many other books. I can show you many other books, but his is very easy to read, big print, and explains insulin, all those things that I was explaining to you, and this book of mine I have up here. I wrote one before that, Rudy's War on Diabetes, Preventing, Stopping, Reversing Diabetes, a golden opportunity. It is a golden opportunity. It is. I actually took that whole story to the Medical Society magazine a number of years ago. I wanted them to write it up for other doctors to read, because even the pharmacy school has something in the previous article. It didn't really mention serum insulins at all. Okay, so I gave them this book, and I wrote an article, Golden Opportunity, to put in the medical side. They said it wasn't formulated properly, and they didn't publish it. They can give their own reasons, but when we doctors are trying to save lives, in almost all diseases, the majority of diseases are caused by diabetes. Let me just, I have this right here, readily available if you ever want to see it. This is my books and website. Incidentally, this is a big one. You can go on the internet, on Facebook or YouTube, and use this barcode, which I have right here, this barcode. And I have little cards available. If you see me, I'll give you one. There's a barcode on there. That's opens up to a world of Facebook, which are 10-minute posts for my part, and YouTube, 1-hour TV shows, and a half-hour on diabetes, maybe 700 shows. It's available to anybody, anywhere in the world. A month ago, you wouldn't believe this. I will say I've been tap dancing ever since. A man came to my house, 7 o'clock, from the Indian embassy. They want to use my YouTube shows and project them out to the Indian people. They will translate them into other languages and dialects, which they have many, that people can just go to the phone and go like that, because they have so much diabetes there. China's number 1, India number 2, US number 3, partly because they have so many people. But the highest rate, the highest number is the US. We have like 90% almost are pre-diabetic, on the path to diabetes. Remember what I said. The diseases that diabetes causes, which I'll review in more detail in a minute, will occur on the path to elevation of your blood sugar in pre-diabetes. I don't use the term pre-diabetes. Dr. Kraft would say if your insulin level is raised, it's raised over 40, you're diabetic. Yes. Blood sugar goes up 15 years later. Your insulin level determines the diagnosis of diabetes. The insulin level, you got to know your insulin level. You got to know your GFR, glomerular filtration rate, see how your kidneys are doing, okay? So what does diabetes do? Dementia. Almost 90% of dementia is from diabetes, because the brain cells love to live on sugar. They love to eat on ketones too, but sugar is the main one. Cataracts, retinal disease. Most retinal disease is due to vascular disease caused by diabetes. Strokes, dementia, thyroid disease. Dental disease is most common in the diabetics because the sugar level is elevated, and the bacteria love sugar. They love sugar. And people who have a lot of dental disease also have a lot of brain disease and heart disease, because those bacteria will travel up or down, Liver disease, liver transplants we're doing now because of fatty liver. We're eating so much fructose corn syrup, and that goes straight to the liver, and the liver gets fat and gets disease. We need to do liver transplants these days, heart transplants, vascular disease. Cancer is a sugar feeder. Otto Warburg proved that in the 1930s of the last century. Otto Warburg, who was friends with Einstein in Krebs, the Krebs cycle you've heard about. These guys were all related. It normally takes one molecule of sugar to make one ATP, the energy molecule. But cancer cells, to grow, they need energy. But it takes 13 molecules of sugar to make one ATP. So cancer loves sugar. And that's the reason breast cancer rates are highly related to people with diabetes, because their sugar level is elevated. We take all the money from Vera Bradley and we send it to Indianapolis for genetic research. That's 3% of breast cancer. It's largely a sugar disease. We need to take some of the money and keep it here and tell the people how to get rid of their diabetes. Then we'd be saving a lot of people. Breast cancer has about 60 to 100 genes that influence it. We would need 60 to 100 drugs to cure you of breast cancer. You see what I mean? Prevention is the cure. Much higher rate. Genes are not the answer. And so kidney disease, bowel disease, ovarian disease, renal transplants, amputations, dislocations, nerve damage, dysfunction of our joints, all related to diabetes, all can be prevented. And this is what I'm trying for you to get. So get your serum insulin, and your children too. Know the whole family's insulin levels, that if there's something's off, you can take corrective action, and it would not be difficult. Learn to eat good fats, so much protein, so much fruits and vegetables, take a walk, sing a song, learn to tap dance with me, play me in pickleball, and you won't have any diseases, and you'll live to be 100. My family doctor took a look at these blood tests when I saw him about a month ago for my annual physical, and he said, "Rudy, you trying to live to be 100?" I said, "You're darn right I am, unless I get hit by a truck." And it's not that hard to do. So we have the information and the science out there. The trouble is that industry has you surrounded. Let me go through this a little bit here, okay? Okay, prevention is the cure. They have you surrounded. Public health is not telling you this. The virus that's killing people, it's a sugar feeder, just like cancer. Viruses have no metabolic system. Even the flu, you're more likely to die if you're diabetic because the virus loves sugar. Sugar industry, of course, wants to keep it that way. The House and Senate lobbyists are surrounding you. Processed food, they take away off the coverings and all you're doing is eating the sugar. Cow's milk, read a book called by Joe Keon, Whitewash. You won't drink cow's milk again because they gave the cow so many hormones, and then you're drinking the hormones. The hormones affecting your body greatly, and it's in the hundreds, okay? The hospital system, they don't teach prevention. You come in there for an illness, and they do a great job. They're very methodical, and but they don't teach you the disease that caused the problem in the first place. So it just does not happen again. They put hearts on the hospital. They put cancer stuff on their hospital. I see the latest one. They took the head of the hospital. They put his name on the cancer hospital when he himself and his wife are not very healthy. Does that make sense to you? That's industry at work. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to do something about it, okay? So thank you for listening, and let me summarize this a little bit. Get a serum insulin test. Get a serum insulin test. Put in a book and have it done to all of your children. Learn to eat the right food, 50, 70% good fats. If you look at this book, there's a good chapter there, the good fats and the bad fats. There's also a good chapter on there on fasting. That's the simplest way. If you want to get healthy quickly, eat 2 meals a day, 16-8. Like that, you'll be healthy. You feel good and energetic, and you look good too. And the fat will just melt away. We're not being critical about having the fat. I'm just trying to teach you how to be healthy. And because when you're healthy, you can live to be 100, but you won't be sick. But otherwise, you live into your 80s and 90s, and you get all these diseases. You'll be suffering. I don't want you to do that. So anyway, thanks for listening. I do this a half hour every 2 weeks. They're all on YouTube. Look at it, and you can get tremendous information. You need to be responsible and learn about health yourself. The industry will surround you, and they rarely will be their teacher. Why am I doing this? I'm a doctor, and I love you. I care about you. I want you to play me in pickleball, and maybe tap dance with me when you reach 100. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.